Hey guys, so today we're going to do another product shot, and today we're going to be working with a set of markers. So if you guys are artists out there, um, a popular marker brand is called Copic, and I found these models off of Dementiva. Again, I've brought this website up to you guys in the past, and years ago they had a lot of these models that were free, and so they're still sitting in my asset library. But again, this is on a pro subscription now. But I'm gonna make some videos where I can grab some of these other elements that are free in the future. So like a good one probably this camera. We could do this Leica camera. But I had these Copic markers, and I just wanted to do something more simple today to present to you all to light. So let's switch over back to Blender, and I'm gonna kind of walk you all through how I lit this. I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna light this from scratch. So this is what I have, and I'm gonna show you guys how I approach it. So I'm just gonna start over and do another scene, starting from scratch. So I'm gonna leave this file open, and we're just gonna go to copy settings so that it copies my settings over this time, and we're going to start from scratch. So I'm going to switch back over to my original scene, which is the asset. So I haven't named these yet, so we'll call this assets. And basically I downloaded the file. Just to explain real quick how I set up this model, I downloaded the file, and I have these markers linked in. So let's look at the material preview. So again, on Dementiva, the models come mainly for 3D Studio Max, V-Ray, Corona, and such things. So I had to import this as a OBJ and then reconnect the textures. And then it was also just one OBJ file, one whole model. So I had to separate out each piece so I had more control. And then from there, I styled the markers a little bit. So I took each marker, kind of offset them a little bit just to give it a more dynamic look. Okay. And so I did that here in my asset scene. So again, this is linked in, and then from each marker is linked in. And then from there, as you can see right here, they're linked in. And then from there, I also styled them a little bit by just offsetting them from each other, just to give it a more dynamic shot. So from there, we set up our shot. So let's start setting up this shot. And I'm going to do a collection instance. So if I go collection instance here, and then I want Copic markers to bring in the whole set that is styled, because it's in a collection in that asset scene. And then I'm gonna make a camera just like that. And then I'm gonna hit 0, set this to solid. All right, you guys have seen me set up cameras multiple times in the past. And then I'm going to set my rotation, right? So we're going to go 90, 0, and 0. And then we have a 50 millimeter lens. And this time, I'm actually going to go with a different lens. I'm not going to do 135 as I have done in a lot of videos. So this time, I'm actually going to go with this 50 millimeter, being that these markers, they're long objects, and I want to create more of a dynamic shot. So I want to create that a little bit of skew to the product. All right, so let's style these markers a little bit. And so I'm just pressing R twice to have like a freeform rotation. And I believe we have something like this. So we'll go material preview. All right. And then I'm going to just shift it over just to center it into the camera. So what I'm trying to accomplish here, again, is a nice silhouette, and then being able to read the elements within the silhouette. So the important parts is the branding, Copic, and then their colors, right? And then I want to be able to see these different colors. So maybe I could rotate it just a tad more, because I would assume that the Copic brand is more important. And then we want some dynamic, we want a dynamic feel from the colors. Yes, we can read the colors on the front, but seeing that these are different colors on the edges of the markers is a good thing. All right, so I'm just gonna center it into the shot a little bit. Maybe just move my camera in just a tad bit more, just to fill the frame. It's really getting this feeling like it's coming out of, popping out of the frame. So I like that. And then I have my camera selected. I'm gonna go down here, viewport display, pass part out. I'm gonna set that to 1. And my settings are already set. So I already have it set to where I have my overlay stuff off. I don't want to see any of that. I just want to focus on the image. Then I have T to get rid of the tools and Control tilde to get rid of the tools on the right side. And I'm ready to go. All right. So now I'm going to leave depth of field off. Matter of fact, I'm going to set my focus point too. So we're going to add a empty plane axis, and then I'm going to press F2, call it focus point. See, focus point, like so. Cool. And then I can select in my camera the focus point. So we're going to turn on depth of field and then set it to focus point 001. And then being that this is a product shot, right? I don't want a lot of depth of field. So I'm going to go like 16 for now. So it's pretty sharp. And then I'm going to move that focus point to the front of the product. So let's just move it down. Now it's focused on the front of the product. Okay. This is blurry a little bit, but I'm going to wait till we start actually lighting. So maybe I'll just turn the depth of field off for now. But we got everything set up for that now. Okay. And then I also want a full frame camera. Probably doesn't matter much, but being that I shoot photography too, I want to set it to full frame because I'm just used to that. All right. Next thing. So we're going to go into render mode, and now we're going to just start lighting the product. So I'm going to go render. And then, oh, one more thing. We got to set up our background. So I'm going to set up a plane. Set it back. Rotate it up. Scale it. And we're done. And move it back just a little bit more so that make sure my lighting's not affecting it. And then I'm going to scale it to fill the frame a little bit. All right. So first I'm going to work on is I'm going to start with the lighting first. So I'm going to add, this time I'm probably going to use Light Wrangler less in this scene. I'm probably just going to rely on the traditional way of working in Blender to light this object. So I'm going to go with the area light, and I'm just going to move it up, set it right above the object. Okay. And then I'm going to set it to like 1. That's already looking nice. Okay. And so basically the way I'm looking at this object, I'm looking at it as a big giant box, right? That I have to light. Let me bring up my tools annotation. So I'm looking at oh, it's not working. Oh, I have to turn on my overlay. So let's turn this overlay on. Okay. So we got a big giant box here, right? So I'm looking at this, right, as our top, and it's a perspective box, right? And this, right? And so those are the parts that I'm looking at. It's just a big box that I'm lighting, right? And we could have a third side also we would be lighting if I just turned it a little bit. So yeah, again, I'm looking at it as a big box. And then obviously we got these rounded edges too, where it's going to pick up highlights as I light it. Okay. All right. So let's switch back to our render view. And I might, edit the product a little bit and rotate it if I'm looking for something else in this shot. So as we develop the lighting, it may rotate a little bit, but let's block in some lighting first, and then we'll assess. All right. So again, I got that first light in. I'm going to turn it down. It's blowing out the back part a little bit. I want to be able to make sure that I can see that Copic logo. And so now let's add another one. And now I'm just going to do some simple duplication of the lights. So I'm just going to press Shift D to duplicate it. I'm going to rotate it negative 90 degrees. And then now I'm going to just light this left side. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it in and out of the frame, or in and out of the shot, to brush the product with lighting. So as you can see, as I go up, I'm getting highlight on that left side, right? So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to turn off this first light, and then I'm going to back this one up a little bit to see how that highlight hits. You see how that highlight's hitting on the side? Just to give it that shape. So I'm going to move it up and down also to see what we get too. So I'm just moving it up and down. And then I'm probably going to go with something like this. Okay. And then maybe shift it back a little bit more so that highlight on the left side is not too hot. And I'm going to leave that there. And then I'm going to add another light. So now I'm just going to duplicate it. I'm going coming from the right side, do a 180. Again, just moving this light around to see what I get. Okay. So something like that is nice. See if I move it back here, what happens. Okay, so we're going to go like right about here in the front. And then back it off. So again, a light source that's bigger has softer shadows, and then a light source that's smaller has harder shadows. So I'm trying to keep very soft lighting across this product. So I want to define the shapes, and I also want soft lighting across the product. So let's go 0.25. We got the front lit, and we're going to turn on our first light again. Okay, so now we're getting something nice already. Okay, so this is a good starting point. From here, I can make some more tweaks. But what I could do now is I'm thinking I can add some bounce cards. Okay, so I'm going to take this plane back here, and I'm going to duplicate it and bring it over here, rotate it, maybe scale it down a tad bit, and then go back to my top view. And then I can see my camera cone right here, right? And so I can bring this card in, rotate it to the cone, right? And just start bringing some bounce light into the shot. So I can add it right behind the camera. I'm just rotating, scaling, right? Doesn't need to be super big. And then I can turn it off and on to see how it's affecting the scene. So now we can see how it's filling in these dark areas on the face of the markers, which is great. So now we're just filling in this area here, right? That's cool. I love that. So now we're filling in that area. I'm going to leave that there. Okay. And let's see if we need a bounce card elsewhere. So I'm looking at other areas. I'm going to see if I could just add a bounce card on the backside now too, on this end. So again, just rotating this. And then maybe I could just straighten it out. So just set 90, hide that. And then, oops. And then I'm just going to move it around. So we're going to turn it off and on to see what it looks like. Okay, we're not getting much from that. Maybe I just want to bounce card. Oh, you know what? One on the bottom. That's what we need. Okay, so we need some light coming from the bottom. So we're going to add a bounce card on the bottom. Shift this upward. Just like that. So now we're bouncing light. Wait. What is going on? That is not the bottom. And I'm missing a plane. Okay, what happened? My brain skipped something. So let's undo. There we go. Okay, so now we're back to here. I'm gonna duplicate this plane again, and then let's rotate to 0 like that. And then we're gonna put this bounce card on the bottom like so. Okay, so just had a simple mistake there. Sometimes moving too fast and then you get lost on what you're doing. Happens. You just quickly fix it. All right, so let's turn this off and on. Okay, cool. I'm liking that. So I'm gonna keep that for now. Maybe I'll just pull it down a tad bit. So select the plane, hit G, Z, and just move it down a tad bit. All right, cool. All right, so now I just want to start setting up my background. All right, so I'm just kind of blocking everything in, and then I'm going to tweak things later. So we're gonna go to our background. I got that selected. I'm gonna hit shader editor, hit N to get rid of that right side, and then I'm gonna make a new material. Cool. And then again, emission. All right, so now the background is gonna emit light. So let's start setting up this background. We're gonna add a gradient in the background. So what I'm gonna do is create a color ramp. Got that, and then we're gonna connect that here. And then I'm gonna create a gradient texture. And then the fact that I got Node Wrangler, I'm gonna press Control T to create my UVs or my texture layout. So I'm gonna select UV to vector. I'm gonna change this over to texture, and then I'm gonna rotate my gradient. So let's see which one is the right one. So I'm gonna rotate it just like that, move it up, and then rotate it some more. Let's see, just like that. Oh, there we go. And then rotate it a little bit more. Yeah, bring it down. Rotate it some more. So just trying to find that right sweet spot, basically, to kind of match the angle of the markers. So just bring it down, and then I'm gonna put it right on the corner like that. All right, so now I'm gonna go back over here, and I'm gonna change this to like a dark gray, just like that. And then I'm gonna take this and bring it down a little bit to more of a mid-gray area, just like that. And then I'm gonna just take the strength and back it up, just back it off a little bit. All right, maybe some more too. Let's go 0.5, a little darker. I like that. Very artsy. So now we got our background set up, right? Very subtle, kind of tonal. And then now I'm gonna go back to my markers and I'm gonna play with the lights. So let's go back to 3 viewport. And now I'm just gonna play with my lighting a little bit and just kind of finalize that. So this top portion, I'm gonna back off just a tad bit. Let's go 0.3. Cool. And then see what we got here. These highlights, I love the highlights. It gives that shape. So I'm gonna keep that right about there. And then I'm gonna look at the front. That's reading pretty well. And I think that's all we got. So I'm gonna go to my camera again, and I'm gonna set my depth of field on. So we're gonna turn that on. So now we got depth of field again in our shot. And I'm gonna turn this up some more. I'm gonna sharpen things up a little bit more. So I'm gonna go like 32. So now it's really, really sharp. Okay, so just a small bit of depth of field, right? And then got that. I'm gonna go up here to my render settings, and I'm gonna set my pixel filter. Okay, so it's already set. So before it was 1.5, and I just wanted it to set to 1 just to make sure it's sharper. And then I'm gonna check my contrast. We copied these settings, so they're already set. So I have it set to high contrast. Let's go very high, see what that looks like. And then we'll back off a little bit, just go high contrast. Let's see what punchy looks like. Okay, so let's just stick with high contrast for now. So now we're at a point where I could say, I like this and I wanna render it out, okay? So I could set it at about 1024 noise threshold so that it hits the limit. And then I'm gonna go over to my render settings, and I'm ready to render. So I can sit here and just render a high res version of this now. As you guys saw at the beginning of the video, that was the high res image. So this was a pretty simple one, right? It was again, like I was looking like at this product, this grouping of product as a box, right? So that was my approach for this shot. And again, we could take this into post-production. I'm going to do some videos later where I'm doing more post-production stuff, but I could take this, render it out, and process this in Adobe Camera Raw. So not Photoshop, Adobe Camera Raw. So thanks for watching the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. and we'll have more in the future. Peace.